Now, the first way that I showed you how to make a slab is very useful if you don't have a slab roller, a large board, and a rolling pin. However, the slamming technique may not be super suitable for a classroom. I know especially if you have younger middle school students, they might get really excited at the prospect of throwing their clay down on the table. Might not be part of your calculated mess that you want to have in your classroom. Also, the noise may be disturbing. The next technique I'm going to show you is something, again, that I use in my personal practice that's much quicker. It's not as precise, just like the coil method that I showed you the second time, but for me, it's quicker and more effective. It is loud though, so I'm going to give you a warning in advance that this one may also not be the most suitable for younger students, or you'd have to prepare them in advance and also prepare yourself for how loud it's going to be in the classroom that day. So I've got a ball of clay about the size of a baseball. I don't play baseball, so I'm not certain, but that's my best guesstimate. So here's my ball of clay. I'm going to begin by using the thick part of my hand and flattening it out. Initially, my goal is to just create an even thickness. Once I get this even thickness, it's still really thick, much thicker than you would want a slab to be. I begin again hitting it on the sides, trying to create that rectangular surface. So you don't have to have the rectangular shape with the slab. I just find that when my slab is squared on the edges, my slabbed pieces are more precise when I cut them. And so I like to do this. It's not required. So at this point, once I have the shape, I'll go back in with the thick part of my hand. I go around the edges and then I go to the center because the center will be raised. I might pick it up like the first method and flip it. I might make sure my edges are flat again, but I would just continue this process until you get a thickness that you would like. This is almost finished. It's still a little thicker. For instance, like you can see the sides are getting a little thin, so I might thin out the opposite edge. But the most important part of this technique is using the thick part of your hand. If you try to use your whole entire hand, you can see that this side is going to be a lot lower than the side where my fingers are, just because it holds the majority of my weight as I press down. It's also important, as you notice, that I'm standing when making a slab. Especially with younger students, they may not have the dexterity or the strength to pound out a slab or to throw a slab, but they certainly won't if they're seated. And so I would encourage your students, and even if this is for you that you're learning this technique, to stand while you're doing it so that you may put your body weight into the palm of your hand and you don't have to hit it as hard if you're standing over it and can push down.